Okay, let's read this question quickly. It says a chemist needs 5 liters of a 50% salt solution. So this is what we're trying to get. This is our mixture. All she has available is 20% salt solution and 70% salt solution. So they're the two things we're going to add, right? So let's create our table, right? And it's always going to be the same amount times the percent. In this case, it's percent salt equals the amount of salt, right? Okay. So we wrote our formula across the top. Now the first row is, the first two rows are the two things we're adding, and the third row is the mixture, right? So this is our mix. And we'll call this our 20% and this our 70%, right? Okay, because there's a solution, or solution 1, solution 2. Okay, so the first one, we don't, actually let's call it solution, no, that's fine. Okay, so the amount of this one, the 20% salt solution, we'll call that T, right, for 20, I don't know, for lack of a better term. And the 70%, we'll call that S for 70, right? Okay. So we have T and S. Okay, now, the percent salt in the 20% salt solution is 0.2, or 0.20, right? And in the 70%, it's 0.70. So across the top, we multiply amount times percent salt. So the amount of salt in here is 0.2 T, and the amount of salt in here is 0.7 S. Now, the mix here is T plus S, right? Oh, no, actually, they tell us what it is. They tell us that we need 5 liters of it. We need 5. Oh, that S is not a good one. Okay, okay, we'll try our hardest to remember that that's an S. Okay. So this is 5 liters of a 50% salt solution. So this is 0.5, and that's 0.5 times 5, which equals 2.5. Okay. So as usual in these mixture problems, our first equation comes from here, because we're adding these, right? And our second equation comes here, right? Down the right side. So let's write our first equation. We have T plus S equals 5, right? And the second equation, the green one, we have 0.2 T plus 0.7 S equals 2.5. Okay, so we have two equations now, right? With two equations. So let's see how best to solve this system. I could do this a bunch of ways. Let's multiply, I don't know, the top equation by negative 0.2. Let's do that. Times negative 0.2. And that way our t's will cancel out, right? So I have negative 0.2 t plus, or sorry, minus 0.2 s equals 5 times negative 0.2, right? 5 times negative 0.2, which is negative 1. And the second equation stays the same, 0.2t plus 0.7s equals 2.5. Okay, so now we can add. The t's cancel out. So now I have 0.7s and negative 0.2. That's 0.5s equals negative 1 and 2.5. That's 1.5, right? And I divide both sides by 0.5, and I get S equals 3, right? 0.5 goes into 1.5 3 times. And now I can use, I don't know, this equation, that looks easy, to figure out t. So I have t plus s, which is 3, equals 5. So t equals 2. And this question says, how many liters of each of the two solutions should she mix? So we would write our answer, in words. We would say 3, this is liters, right? 3 liters of S, which is the 70% solution, and 2 liters of the T, which is 20% solution. So again, as a recap, the equations in mixture problems come from the columns. Almost always the first column on the left and then the last column on the right. And the top up here is always the same. It's the amount I have times the percent of whatever, in this case salt, equals the amount of whatever. In this case, it's the amount of salt.